All right, let's everybody move up to the front and I'll go through what I want to get through on this project. You can see it's a relatively small project, but we've got some good notoriety on it. So I called the general contractor on the way here to make sure he was okay with me doing this. He mentioned again that the inspector looked inside the panel, turned around, talked to him for a minute, and said it was just the best looking panel that he had seen in years. So there's a lot of pride that I have in hearing something like that. And I'm going to tell you that this job is a job that I like. I like walking in, I like looking around at it, I like looking at what Terrence has done. I'm going to note several things here. Some of them are going to be code oriented, some of them are going to be more just personal preference, not necessarily code. But these are the things that I want to make sure that we know that I want us doing as a company as a whole. You're going to note, and I'm actually going to go against Terrence on this one, and Jonathan actually mentioned it. I overheard him a minute ago. Terrence went through and dropped a box per light. Generally, I won't do that. I actually think it's neater, and when I first started, I always did that. But because it's so much more cost effective, you've got to drop wires between these lights anyway. You can attach to their wires, so you'll note that they're painted orange. Those actually hold up the lights on top of the grid holding up the lights. And then when you come out of the lights, you can attach to those wires. There's no problem with that, and then you can just jump from light to light. It makes it very, very quick, and the job can still stay neat. The way Terrace did is actually neater. It's better looking. I appreciate it more, but it's also very expensive to do it this way. But you'll also note every one of his boxes, what do you see written on the front of his boxes? The circuit voltage and the circuit itself. I like that as well. That is not a preference on my part. That is you must do. That is something I require. Not necessarily the NEC. NEC doesn't necessarily require it, but I require it. I want those marked. I want boxes marked with the circuits they have in them. It's great for troubleshooting. It's great for neatness. It's a good way to work. You're going to see that all his pipes are running straight. They're all strapped correctly. These got good bends going in. They're not perfect. And above the ceiling, I'm not expecting perfect. I'm expecting to be proud of it. You can be a little off when it's exposed, when it's not exposed. And I think this right here well fits the bill. You guys, before you leave out, can walk around and get up into the panels. We're going to walk to the back in the panels in a minute, and we're going to walk to the disconnects on the outside. So let's move all the way to the back of the building. I got something else I want to hit real quick. You're also going to note that this material isn't strewn everywhere. You're not going to find, you don't see connectors and pipes laying on the ground. Right here is where I want you guys to stop. I want to note this. Again, you're going to see boxes right here, both marked with circuit numbers and voltage. I want to talk about this right here. This is called what? Baker scaffold. This is a nice, handy little thing for everybody to have. I would expect for just about every job that we have to have one of these on it. What do we use this for? We stick pipe. We can take 3/4 and 1/2 inch pipe and stick it right here. We can keep it well organized. We can keep it off the floor, and we can keep it mobile. So sticking pipe on this thing is fine. I do not mind buying one of these for every job if I have to. It also gives you a table here that you can either put prints on, or you can store connectors, couplings, fittings, all that can stay right here. Again, it keeps it off the floor, it keeps it mobile. Keep a Baker scaffold on your job. They're very relatively inexpensive. I'd like to keep them between jobs, but they're just nice to have on a job in case you need them for what a scaffolding actually does. So that's Baker scaffold. All right, there's nothing else inside these rooms I want to talk about, but I will say you guys probably want to walk through and see how he did everything. You can critique if you want to, but that's not what we're looking to do today. You can see things that you think you would do differently, or maybe you want to do differently. That's fine. Personal preference is part of this. Some of you are going to do things one way, and like I said earlier, I would have done the wiring between the lights a little differently, but it's perfectly fine that you guys say, I'll do it this way. As long as it's neat and within code, I'll pretty much be okay with whatever you guys want to do. All right, we're going to squeeze back here into these panels. I want to show you guys how I like to see these panels done. So you're going to note that he's got, this is all stranded wire. It's a little bit harder to make the stranded wires neat. I personally like stranded wire. They're a better conductor. They're easier to pull. In general, I prefer just going ahead and going with stranded wire, and you just lose a little bit of neatness in it, but I'm fine with that. You're also going to note he tie wrapped everything. Some people have an issue with that. I do not, and you really shouldn't. It's we can talk about resistance and how it builds up with everything tightened up, but it's really in this small amount of space inside of a 2-foot area. Like if you're inside of a conduit, generally you don't have to consider that, and that's what we've got here. It's all inside of a 2-foot area. They did not separate out the neutrals separate from everything else. That would be an objection that a lot of people would have, is if you had the neutrals pulled out, because then you do have a lot more heat build up in that circumstance. But all in all, these are good looking panels. They're neat. I fully approve and appreciate how he did all of this. So if you guys want to take a look at that and see if there's any objections that you have, or if there's anything else that you want to say we should have done differently. I will say I do see a few little things that I would do differently, but I'll let you see and y'all pick those out. All right, I'm gonna get out of the way and let y'all filter through. When y'all filter through here, filter out the back door and meet me over right on the other side of these panels. All right, listen up real quick. We're gonna close out here. As you can see, it's another neat job. We're not looking for wide angles here. We do have the capability, we have the tools that we could have brought this up, put wide angles in it, and made it look really, really spectacular. I'm not looking for that though. This is a neat looking job. It's an efficient job. It's exactly what I'd be looking for when I'm looking for at a job like this. I want to see our jobs look like this in general. You'll see that you've got the service coming in from the top, coming in parallel feeds, going through this trans socket, which hooks up just like any other meter base, and then comes into the line side of this, drops out the load side, and feeds right through to the panel on the other side. A couple of things I'm going to note. Remember that this is the main disconnect, which means what as far as our neutral? It bonds with the ground, the neutral and the ground. From this point, beyond that is all the same. From this point inside, it all separates out. Neutral and ground are the same in the service. Beyond the service, so we call it feeders. Beyond on the feeders and in the branch circuits, neutrals and grounds are separate. Okay, are we clear? Yeah. All right. So the only other thing I'm going to mention here is the larger pipes have bushings on them. That is a general requirement. If you're going to have a conduit coming out, you need bushing on those larger wires. Exceptions being like a hub here, there's no way to do that, so it's not a requirement. All right, so that's it for me. You guys got any questions, anything y'all want to talk about? All right, let's get to work.